Greetings, everyone. It's the Hugh Hewitt Show, wherever you are in the United States. But a special welcome to News Talk 93.3 and 1390 WRSC, a brand new affiliate in State College, Pennsylvania. I'm Hugh Hewitt. Welcome. It's great to have you folks in State College. Let me tell you up front, we bleed scarlet and gray here, and once a year we will not be on the same side of it. But we like the Nittany Lions a lot. We like the Big Ten a lot around here. Welcome, State College, Pennsylvania. News Talk 93.3 and 1390 WRSC. It's great to have you out listening to the Hugh Hewitt Show. Thanks to Kurt Schlichter, who sat in for me on my anniversary on Friday. Today marks the first day of the 21st year of the broadcast of the Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network nationally. It's my 33rd year in broadcast or something like that. But 21 years begins today on the Hugh Hewitt Show, and I'm glad you are along for the ride with me. Kurt sat in on not only the anniversary of the show on Friday, but my anniversary with my wife, the fetching Mrs. Hewitt. 38 years married, and Friday we had a great time. I'm sure Kurt mentioned this. I'm holding it up if you're watching us on Instagram or on Facebook. The 21 Biggest Lies About Donald Trump and You by Kurt Schlichter comes out. Kurt is going to sit in for me next week, which is my real vacation, an entire week off. But it was great for him to come in on Friday and Thursday, and I really appreciate him doing that for anniversary days. A lot of news this morning, a lot of guests coming up today. I'm going to be joined by our friend Selena Zito, you Yinzers who are in State College, who are listening on News Talk 93.3 and 1390 WRSC. You're going to love Selena. She's a Pittsburgh gal, and she writes for the Wall Street Journal, the Washington Examiner, the New York Post. But she's at heart a Yinzer, and she stays and lives and breathes all things Pittsburgh. And I'm sure when she learns that State College has joined us, she's just going to be thrilled. Senator Josh Hawley, who's in a battle with ESPN and Disney, will be here to talk about the suspension of ESPN's gossip columnist Woj. I can't even say his name. I just know him as Woj. And I don't really follow him much, but he sent an F-bomb to the senator last Friday. And ESPN suspended him, which was stupid, because Hawley was asking questions about the NBA and China, which we'll get into. Dan Balls, reporter extraordinaire, dean of national correspondence at every paper. But Dan joins us at the top of the third hour. And then a special interview with Professor Eddie Glaude Jr. of Princeton. His book is an extraordinary book, Begin Again. It's one of the very few books that has really deeply impacted me. I'm 64, and I've got very few books. I've read thousands of books, but very few are eye-opening and changing. I don't agree with a lot of what Professor Glaude writes, but it is elegantly presented and superbly argued case about how Black America feels and understands the world. You may see Eddie on MSNBC all the time and NBC occasionally. He deserves a lot of praise for this book, and I hope you'll get it. You'll hear our interview in the third hour. Quickly, the news of the morning. This is the rundown. Florida breaks the U.S. coronavirus record for new cases in a day. 15,300 new cases yesterday broke the previous record. Some of the increase, according to the New York Times, reflects the dramatic increase in testing. We know that. Florida is testing several times the number of people that New York City did at the height of its crisis. The spread of the disease in the Florida sun does not play out the same with the same dread as it did in the crowded city streets of New York City. Hospitals are better supplied, somewhat more prepared to treat patients than they were in March and April. And while the daily death toll in Florida climbed to a high last week, it remains far below the levels that New York suffered, at least for now. Now, death is a lagging indicator, but a lot of people are intuiting that the disease is less deadly. I don't think that's correct. There are two strains of it running around, and it may be correct. But I know one thing is doctors are much better skilled at treating it, and people are much quicker to get treatment. And people are not being turned away at the ER complaining of respiratory problems and high fevers. They're being treated in isolation wards. They're not being put quickly onto intubators, which is not particularly efficacious treatment. They know the antivirals that work. They know the variety of hydroxychloroquine regimes that are appropriate or not appropriate. We're learning a lot as new therapies come on, and as a result, it's not nearly as deadly. It's still deadly. I think I read over the weekend 0.8% is the current death rate, which is a lot. If you figured 330 million Americans got that, 1% would be 3.3 million Americans. Good news remains the same in studies that published over the weekend that we just don't have any children under 10 uh, dying of the disease, very few under 20. It's an adult disease, and the older you are, the more vulnerable you are. The underlying conditions are there. Scientists had hoped summer temperatures would tamp down COVID-19 cases. What happened? This goes to the Wall Street Journal's lead story today. What happened is it's a new virus, and we don't really know what what it's going to be like next year, but we know that sunlight works on existing viruses for which there's already partial herd immunity. There's no herd immunity for COVID. It just spreads and spreads and spreads. Very contagious. Very contagious. That's the difference. 21 sailors injured in a Navy ship fire in San Diego. The Bonhomme Richard has been docked at the U.S. Naval Base, but a lower cargo hold used for vehicle storage caught on fire yesterday. It's still burning. About 160 sailors were on board. 17 were injured. 4 civilians injured as well. They're continuing to fight the fire. They're hoping to save the ship. Global stocks are rising around the globe. Let me bring to you now my new listeners in College Station on 93.3 and 1390 WRC. One of my regular sponsors is Birch Gold. They always do the market story of the day.